Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about addictions. So, we've all got our own little addictions. There might be big addictions and there might be small addictions, but everyone probably has some degree of addiction in their life. If you are OCD, you're going to have even more problem with addiction. It's about how to deal with it and ways to heal from addiction. Firstly, you have to stop blaming yourself. If you've got an addiction to something, you are doing that to ease the pain, because underneath all that addiction, all those crazy things that you're doing, there is pain, there is hurt, and there is probably a lot of anger as well. You need to look at those emotions. Who hurt you? Where the pain's coming from? Why, when the pain comes up, you just keep wanting to push it down and you use whatever you can to push it down? That's all you're really doing. It's a spiritual band-aid addiction. It's there to push down the feelings, to numb them, so that you distract yourself or don't feel them or put them away for another time to actually deal with them, but you're still carrying them. The first thing you have to realize when you have an addiction is that you have pain. It can be emotional, mental, or psychological pain, but you have pain. And the first time that you start to realize all the pain that you're carrying is probably the biggest time when you start to really work on healing yourself. That's why people go to counselling and go to therapists, because it's a way to verbalize and hopefully let go of some of their pain and their hurt and their anger. I think it's a good idea to release those emotions. That's what I'd do first, is let them go, acknowledge them and then let them go. Use your tapping, your meditation, your hypnosis, anything that you can do, writing it all out, verbalizing it. I think writing in a journal is great about how angry or hurt or upset or how much pain someone caused you. And when we let them go, then we don't need the pacifiers, whatever they are, the food, the drink, the smoking, the drugs. We won't need those pacifiers to hold it down so much, because we won't be holding down as much emotion. So it's coming from your emotions, your reaction to something that's happened to you, always continuing to happen to you. I found it very interesting where the addiction places were, and if you want to let go of certain addictions by using tapping or a release work, these are the places that I found. For eating, if you have an eating addiction, like you can't stop eating, or you keep eating too much and you can't stop it, besides having an eating block, and I've done podcasts on that, you can also work on your solar plexus, is where your stomach is, and on your throat chakra. They are the two places that you will hold the eating addiction. So I would be tapping on those places or releasing it from those two areas. That were the most prevalent places I found for the eating. For the smoking, it was around your throat to pacify. It's like your dummy, and that pacifies and helps to cope with the pain, because what you're doing is, as I said earlier, you're spiritually band-aiding yourself. You're finding a way to make the pain less painful, I suppose, and the hurt less hurtful, and the anger less angry. Therefore, that will be around your throat for smoking. The people who had drug and alcohol, it was all in the crown, it's at the top of your head. That's where you go for those ones. So when you want to do your release work, they're the main parts that are found. And that will be helpful to you, particularly if you can focus where they are, because they are the places where it's triggering. That's where it's getting triggered from. So the eating is solar plexus, throat, smoking is throat, drugs, alcohol is crown. It's very important to get a handle on it, because addictions can wreck your life, and that can actually wreck your body as well in the process. And the less addicted you are, the more sort of good control you have over your eating and your daily habits and your healthy lifestyle. It's very hard to have a healthy lifestyle when you have an addiction. It really is, because the addiction just takes over. Also, knowing who triggers you and what triggers you will help. As soon as you have that phone call and you're getting off it, and then you're eating, a whole packet of biscuits, or you started to smoke a lot that day, that's when you need to look at it. What triggered you? And then you need to go and do some work around that situation or that person, because it gets triggered. You'll be doing really, really well, and then you'll just fall in a heap and you won't know why, and you'll be mad with yourself. Stop being cross with yourself. Stop being ashamed of yourself, stop being mean to yourself. This is something which is your way to cope. It's a coping mechanism. Everyone finds different ones, and sometimes if you get rid of one, for example, sometimes when people stop smoking, they just start drinking more, or they just start eating a lot, and that's just transferring that addiction to another modality, so they find somewhere else to get it. It is nothing to be ashamed of. You're just a human. You're down here, and stuff happens to people, and we get damaged, and then we try to find ways to ease our damage, to ease our pain, and this is what we do. And as soon as you start to realize that and just understand yourself more, you stop being critical of yourself, and you let go of all that shame and blame. Because when we have addictions, we have so much shame and blame and guilt because we think we're doing something wrong. We're actually really trying to help ourselves. We're just doing it in a way that's probably not that helpful. We need to let go of all those emotions. We need to address our triggers, and we need to release and find our modalities that will work to release these things. Obviously, if you've been listening to my podcast, you know that I use tapping a lot, and I find that really very good for me. I also do the hypnosis and the release work and ask my guardians to take it from me. I also do healing on myself to release it, to let it go. And by doing that, I don't need to pacify myself with whatever my addictions were. The addictions can go away, but you have to find ways to heal yourself, basically. And this is why I've done this podcast, because you can actually heal yourself from addiction. We come into the world and we're not addicted. We come in, we're little kids, we're running around, we're having fun. Then we get into hit our teenage years, and it starts to go to crap, and that's when we start getting into those places. We'll also tend to herd with people who have addictions too, because we all recognise the pain, but more importantly with that, we all recognise that we're not going to talk about the pain. We're just going to drink it down or smoke it down or eat it down. And there's almost a secret society of people who are addicted to things, and we all know we don't talk about it. We just pacify ourselves and we don't criticise the other person because we know what they're doing. However, once you start to see your pain, then you can let go of your shame and let go of your blame and stop being mean to yourself. Because I found that people who are addicted are often really harsh with themselves. I know I was really harsh with myself. Mine was around, I had trouble with the eating. Like if I got upset, I'd just go and eat quite a lot more than I needed to on a physical level. And then I landed up having trouble that I couldn't eat, which is another form of a problem because I'd had too much stress. And then that became problematic as well. You have to go to where the pain is. You really do. I can't emphasize that enough because you're hurting. That's what you're doing. You're really hurting, and you're just trying to find a way to cope. And now it's making more and more problems with you. But if you can let go of the hurt and the pain, then you won't need your addiction as much, and you can wean yourself off everything. Of course, there's some physical addiction that happens too, and you have to help your body with that. But you can be guided through that with help from a doctor or a therapist even. And some natural things are very good to soothe you while you're coming off stuff. However, it is doable. The reason I've done this podcast is because my friend and I were talking about this, and he wanted me to do the podcast because he wanted people to stop feeling bad about themselves and know that it's just a reflex action to their situation. Please do the work on yourself. Please let go of all this stuff. Please stop blaming yourself. Please be kind to yourself and fill yourself up with love and be loving to yourself. You're damaged, and that's why you have an addiction. That's as simple as that. Some people didn't go through what you went through. Their lives were like so cool and so great, and they had fabulous parents, everything went well. Of course they're going to be okay. You didn't. And some of us who've come down to learn big lessons or to have to do it so when we do the healing on other people, we actually have true compassion. We would have opted for fairly difficult lives because we needed that knowledge and that expertise to draw from. So this time, I want you to see it differently. I want you to release all your emotions, find out how you can do that. If you're not very good at release work, I would really suggest you journal and you write it all out, and then if possible you read it to yourselves. If you do read it to yourself, you will probably cry. I did that. I cried as I read it, and that was really good because every time you cry, every time you get upset, every time the tears come rolling out of your eyes, you're releasing the pain and you're releasing the hurt, and that can only be a good thing for you. I hope you stop being mean to yourself. I hope you stop blaming yourself. I hope you be proud of yourself that you're still alive and kicking, and that you just have to nail this one, and I believe you can do it with a lot of concerted help. If there's any more I get, I'll do more podcasts on this because I think it's a big subject, and as I get the information downloaded, I will be doing extra ones. So I'm going to call this part 1 because I think that there's going to be a few parts coming up. So I'm wishing you well and lots of love, and go and do the work and see if you can go underneath the addiction and work from there and stop being hard on yourself. Okay, I'm sending you lots and lots of love because if you're listening to this, you need it, and I'm sending you lots and lots of light too.